Be Frankie.
Yeah, I'm striving for greatness, trying to make it out. We're stuck in the matrix. Yeah, I'm striving for greatness, trying to make it out. We're stuck in the matrix. Yeah, I'm striving for greatness, trying to make it out. We're stuck in the matrix. Yeah, I'm striving for greatness, trying to make it out. We're stuck in the matrix.
Yo, what's good? It's your boy B-Dell. If you're new to this channel, hit that like button, hit that share button, hit that subscribe button, and please hit that notification bell. But today we're going to be breaking down the dynamics of the deep state shadow government and how they're going to engineer a black swan event, which is basically an anomalous event to spark a totalitarian dictatorship by way of geopolitical instability. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, when you hear the esoteric phrase that their time is up, what do we mean by that? It means it's the end of the energy extraction matrix that operates on the lunar cycle that's based on the six ether energy of time that operates on intervals of 666, right? Because 60 seconds is equated to 1 minute, which is you got another 6. So you got 60 minutes is equated to 1 hour, which is another 6. And then you got 24 hours in a day, 2 plus 4 equals 6. So the 666 energy is propagated by the Canaanite Babylonian beast system, right? Which is based on imperialism and theocracy under a patriarchal order. So you can't bring that energy into a matriarchal order because you'd be breaking cosmic law, which is why the great majority of these Jesuites, these Canaanites, are getting exposed to the multimedia when you're talking about trafficking and the tunnel systems, right? We're going to get straight to it. So I'm going to be showing you some videos. I'm going to be showing some videos of everything that took place, right? So when you're talking about the Khazarians, right? So it tells you right here that at least 10 people are arrested after Jewish students attempt to stop authorities from filling secret tunnels and underground bunker in Brooklyn, right? Which is a synagogue. So this is talking about the Jesuits. So we also found out that the underground bunker systems is connected to a children's museum, right? So I'm going to be showing you some videos of certain things that took place when you're talking about these underground tunnel systems, right? See, everything is getting exposed in real time because their time is up. Because also you got to understand is that the intervals of certain numbers and frequencies is based on the fact that when you at the end of a seculum of a cycle, right? The 24,000 year purification period. 24 is actually acclimated to the year 2024, which is where you get another six, right? Because it entails a certain vibration that is going to be propagated by the cosmos, right? So like I said, we in the sun cycle. So since we in the sun cycle, that has the ability to alter certain things all throughout the course of history, right? So when you're talking about these underground bunker systems, this is all connected to Babylonian Canaanite culture. So their time is up. This is why they getting exposed all throughout media, right? This is why they getting exposed. This is another tunnel system that's connected to a synagogue. You got clothes, beds, all types of stuff in these underground bunker systems, in these tunnels under these synagogues, right? I'm going to show you some more videos. Now, this is a video of the great majority of these Jesuits, they getting arrested. I need you to understand something. All Canaanite culture, all Khazarian culture is basically the foundation of Babylonian culture, right? Which is why it's based on trafficking. It's based on uh, the extraction of organ harvesting. It's based on many different things. It's based on sexual proclivities and things of that nature. It's based on anything that goes against the natural order of human society, right? Which is basically a Luciferian energy, a Luciferian principle that is also connected to the Freemasonic order, right? So it's another video. And it tells you right here the massive tunnel system operation in Ukraine. So it's not only being exposed in the geographical landmass of America, which is Mystery Babylon, it's also being exposed in Ukraine because the Ukrainians are the same people as the Khazarians or Ashkenazi Jew. They're basically connected to the same bloodline. We're going to get into that later on in the video, right? So it shows you trafficking tunnels, which is a cabal usage, right? So they have many different expeditions that they deal with all throughout that geographical landmass over in Ukraine. I'm gonna pause it right here. It shows you the mapping system of Ukraine, right? It tells you right here a gigantic set of tunnels right next to a port city, which is a smuggler's dream. So that's why you got the great majority of, as far as the Democrats, they gave funding to the Ukraine government, right? That's because the democratic order in the Ukrainian society, they work in tandem. It's basically a tethered connection because we all know that the deep state shadow government is basically the foundation of democracy. Because when you look at the suffix of the word democracy, you get Krasi, which is Kratos, which is Kronos, which is Saturn. So the god of Saturn is acclimated to Canaanite culture by way of the Ukrainians. They're under the same bloodline. We're going to get into it. Tells you right here, look at the demographics of Ukraine. It's crazy how the population has been dropping there for decades, right? That's because their time is up. When you had the expiration date of the Balfour Declaration, that's when they started to move on different, move away from different geographical land masses because their time is up. Because when you understand the inception point of the Canaanite, right, or the Jebusites, or whatever you want to call them, they are nomads. They don't really have a homeland. So when you at the end of a system, they have to relocate. So that's why the great majority of them are going underground in these tunnel systems, whether it's your low-level Freemason or it's a high-level elitist Freemason or oligarch when they building up these billion-dollar bunker systems to escape judgment. So these are the Odessa catacombs in Ukraine that is being used for child trafficking. So why do they got these tunnel systems? Are they, doing praise and worship in these tunnel systems, right? Or are they doing rituals, right? So I need you to understand something. Since you're at the end of a system, this is where they begin to get cut off from their energy extraction matrix because their foundational matrix in itself is based on, like I said, it's based on trafficking. It's based on misinformation. It's based on imperialism. It's based on capitalism, classism, because you have to keep a certain demographic of people down in order to extract their energy to basically big yourself up in the name of so-called power and dominance, which is basically an illusionary aspect that's connected to the lunar cycle. So that's why we said that the end of the 6,000 years is in 2024, according to the 1813 Freemasonic Apocryphal Bible. So that's why everything is getting exposed right now because you're at the end of a system. So you're going to have more people getting exposed as we have Pluto enters Aquarius on January 20th, right? And then it's going to drop and it's going to come back into Capricorn. And then it's going to be, and Pluto's going to be in Aquarius for another 20 years, right? So during that course of time, you're going to see a lot more these elites, the plutocracy, Freemasons, these Boule members, these political leaders, a lot of them going to get exposed. All these celebrities, this is the age of Aquarius, right? Where everything gets exposed under the sun cycle, right? Because it's the personification of the true light. So this video is showing you they closing up the tunnels. Because you got to understand something. You cannot bring theocracy and patriarchy into a matriarchal order because the foundation of the Aquarian age is the restoration of a republic, which is galvanized by the people, right? So, let me see. Nope, not that. So now we're going to go right back to this, right? So what you're seeing is you're seeing in real time, the deep state shadow government is getting exposed, right? So these tunnel systems was connected to a children's museum in Brooklyn, right? So when you understand the esoteric symbolism of the Khazarian mafia or your so-called Jebusite or Jew, right? When you look at this, this is a cube, right? Which is connected to the veneration of the cube of Saturn, right? So everything they do is based on Saturnian worship, and Saturnian worship is connected to the material plane, which is which basically subjugates the energy and the frequency and the vibration of the souls of humans on the planet, right? Because it fools you into thinking that you the body. So their material plane is connected to, hold on. The material plane is connected to Sumerian gematria, right? So when you look at 201, it's connected to event 201, right? So one thing you got to understand is that the esoteric symbology of numbers is connected to a form of symbolism because it entails a frequency and a vibration of a certain energy that's connected to a system. And that system is basically the Metatronic overlay that's connected to the gematria system, which is acclimated to the gematria body of humans on the planet. So that's how you can tell what's going to be taking place according to a certain numerical spectrum that's connected to the etymology of words that's connected to the Metatronic overlay in the three-dimensional plane. So it tells you right here, modern day slavery, 201, natural disasters, 201, state of Israel. All this stuff is connected to 201, which is equated to Agenda 21, right? Or Event 201, right? So 201 is basically the personification of Saturnian worship. And Saturn is equated to Satan, right? So I had to point that out because the cube of Saturn is a form of Saturnian worship. So that's why when you go into these Freemasonic orders, it doesn't matter what monotheistic religion that you follow, whether it's Judaism, Catholicism, Christianity, Islam, it doesn't matter. It still shows credence and veneration to the cube of Saturn, right? Which keeps you trapped in time. It keeps you trapped in an artificial time analysis mechanism. Why does it do that? Because it puts an encryption on the mental and the spiritual capacity of humans, right? That keeps you connected to the material plane. So as we're segueing into the Aquarian age, into a matriarchal order, everything reverts back to nature to where you deviate from the materialism that was being facilitated by Babylonian culture, right? So now, since you understand that, one thing you got to understand is that it doesn't matter what religion you follow. It's all showing veneration to the god of Saturn, who is Moloch, who is Enlil, who is Yahweh. According to the Tetragrammaton, YHWH is equated to the strong concordance of 1180 that spells out Baal, who is Baal, right? So when you look at the Khazarian Tamga, when you look at the Khazarian Ukrainian crest, when you look at the sigil of Moloch, they all work in tandem. There's a tether connection to it, right? Because it's all based on human sacrifice. It's all based on trafficking, which is why you see Moloch holding a child right here, right? So it's not a coincidence when you look at the Jesuit order, the Khazarian Jews, all their synagogues had a tunnel system that was connected to a children's museum. Not a coincidence. Because as I was telling you in my last video, it shows you a video of these draconian reptilians needing a sacrifice, you know what I'm saying, in order for the Canaanite to maintain dominance and power on the planet. But their time is phasing out. So when you get into the bloodlines of the Canaanite, you got the 11 sons of Canaan, which is the Sidonites, the Hittites, the Jebusites, who are your personification of the Khazarians. And then you got the Amorites, the Girgashites, the Hivites, the Arkites, Sinites, Arcavadites. Then you got the Zemarites, and then you got the Hamathites. All these bloodlines is connected to the Jesuit order of the Khazarian Tamga, the Ukrainian crest, because they all have a veneration to Moloch. So that's why the sigil of Moloch is connected to the Tamga and the Ukrainian crest, right? So then you also got to understand, you see the Baphomet, right? Because the inception of the Baphomet symbol came from Mohammedanism, which is equated to Baphomet, right? That's when you get into your so-called black nobility that facilitated the blackamoor, because it's all connected to their system under a Freemasonic principle, under the Scottish Rite schools of thought. Now, you got to understand something. The Canaanite is basically working in tandem with the sons of Cain and the sons of Benelli. which is basically are the descendants of Ham. So when you go to Genesis chapter 9, verse 18, right, it is telling you the descendants of a certain bloodline that basically controls the system, which also works in tandem to the United States corporation, which is not a corporation no more because all those corporations in itself filed chapter 11. So you got the Canaanite at the top. And we just broke down the bloodlines of Canaan. I told you the Jebusites are the Khazarians, and the Khazarians are your Ashkenazis. And your Ashkenazis are the sons of Canaan who control the Vatican, who control the United States corporation, who controls the great majority of everything in our system, right? So now, why do they have this power? As I broke down and also in one of my videos talking about exposing the black nobility in the judgment of the Canaanite. Now you got the Nephilim, right? The fallen angels, the draconian reptilian, the 200 fallen angels. When they fell and fell in frequency, they made it with the daughters of man, who is the Canaanite. So that's why the Canaanite, their bloodline works in tandem with the Khazarian, the Ashkenazis, who are also Rothschilds, right? Which is also connected to the dark priesthood of the Vatican Church. And it's also talking about the guardians of the Vatican Treasury. And this is all working in a symbiotic connection with the Federal Reserve System that got taken up by the United States Treasury. So all this stuff works in connection, right? Now you got to understand something. Why is all this stuff happening? Why are they getting exposed in the age of Aquarius? Why are they getting exposed in the year 2024? Because I told you the year 2024 is the end of the 6,000 years. So when you go to Revelation chapter 2, verse 9, it says that they say they are Jews and they are not. But they are the synagogues of Satan, the veneration of Saturn. Saturn and Satan are interchangeable. So like I said, that is the cube of Saturn when you're looking at this sigil that he has on his head. It's showing credence to their system that's controlled by the archonic forces, right? So now, with that being said, when you understand that form of theological context, it tells you that they say they are Jews, but they are not. They are synagogues of Satan, according to Revelations chapter 2, verse 9, and Revelations chapter 3, verse 9, right? So that means that the Canaanite, the Khazarian, the Jebusite, whatever you want to call them, the deep state shadow government, the cabal, they control the unseen hand. So they're basically the hidden hand. They're basically the hidden hand of organized political and military factions. They're also the hidden hand of the Vatican. When you're talking about the Black Pope and the Great Pope, when you're talking about Pepe Orsini, because his bloodline is connected to the Khazarian Mafia, right? So you got the hidden hand of the Vatican Church, which is connected to organized religion. And then you got the connection of the hidden hand when you're talking about the United Kingdom, which is basically the foundation of organized economics and finance, right? So like I said, it doesn't matter what religion that you follow because organized religion is connected to the Vatican and the Vatican is connected to the Canaanite and the Canaanite is being controlled by these archonic forces when you're talking about these draconian reptilians or you're talking about Baal, Moloch, Enlil, Yahweh, or whatever you want to call them. They all work in tandem, right? So now when you get into the esoteric etymology of the word Baal, right? Because Baal is interchangeable with the word Benelli, right? So it tells you that it's based on Canaanite and Phoenician culture, right? So when you understand the esoteric anagrams of certain wordology, we all know that vowels are basically interchangeable. You can interchange the E with the A and the A with the E. So when you're talking about the sons of Benelli, who was Baal, who was Moloch, they are basically the sons of Baal. It's the same person. Moloch, Enlil, Baal, Benelli. Because now when you, I just now got a download. Now when you look at the word Benelli, you also have an esoteric anagram that connects you right back to the word Enlil, right? So this is all based on Canaanite culture. And Canaanite culture is the foundation of sacrifice, right? As I said in my last video, right? So now, with that being said, hold on, I'm missing something. Now, oh yeah, there's another video I need to show you. So a lot of people gonna think I bring my receipts, you know what I'm saying? Because I don't do no capping. So I need people to understand something. This video is showing you the Khazarians. And then when you look at the background, you see the Ukrainian crest, which is basically the Khazarian Tamga. And the Khazarian Tamga is basically the foundation of the sigil of Moloch. So this is going to show you a ritualistic thing that's going on in their courts. Because I know you to understand something also about the esoteric codex of what a rabbi is. Because a rab is a lord. And lord is another name for the veneration of Moloch, right? So I had to show you that video. So now we're going to get into the Cabal, right? I don't know why it's like that. Now, when you're talking about the Cabal, you're basically talking about the deep state shadow government, which is also being facilitated by a form of democracy, because there's no such thing as democracy. We all know that. We should know that by now. Now, when you back an animal into a corner, that means that they're going to be in a state of survival. So due to the fact they don't have any type of real self-preservation on this planet, they got to create a black swan event. And that black swan event is many different false flag events to hide their hidden hand. So when you go to this list, this list basically tells you the Cabal last ditch of effort, which is basically connected to the protocols of Zion. So one thing they're going to try to do is a cyber warfare, right? To disrupt communication networks, right? To where they're going to compromise the election, the whole infrastructure of the political system, to keep us away from the restoration of a republic, right? Which creates a chaotic atmosphere. So you got the economic manipulation, which is based on a covertly manipulating global financial markets to induce economic crisis, right? Which puts the planet in a state of, destabilization, right? Meaning that they don't have access to their money. So it's also going to create a false flag of terrorism, staging elaborate terrorist attacks, which is based on domestic and foreign, right? And then you're going to have information warfare using disinformation campaigns, censorship, things of that nature. And then you're also going to have media control, right? To where they exert influence over major media outlets to control the narrative, to hide their hand. And then you're going to have biological threats. Then you're also going to have space-based manipulation, leveraging advanced technologies, including satellites, to create illusions like a fake alien invasions when you're talking about Project Bluebeam, and celestial events diverting from attention from the political landscape. Then you also going to have a mass surveillance intensifying surveillance efforts to monitor, suppress, and to neutralize certain things on the planet. And then at 9, you're going to have environmental manipulation, which is based on frequency modification, weather modification technologies to induce natural disasters, fostering humanitarian crisis to divert resources and attention away from political matters, right? And then last, you're going to have assassination attempts, to where you're going to have people who are putting out this truth. A lot of us is going to start getting attacked, right? You're going to see a lot of celebrities who are going to put out the truth is going to get attacked. I'm not talking about people who are Freemasons who play both sides of the fence to make you think that they have a veneration to the people when they really working for the other side. So you're going to have assassination attempts, which is a targeting key to divert our attention to what's taking place on the outside. So it's not a coincidence when you look at this the cover of the Leave the World Behind. This deer or elk works in tandem to the depiction of the cabal symbol, because this sigil of the cabal is actually acclimated to the society of the elks, right? Which is also a deep state shadow government secret society, right? So it tells you in this movie, remember, it was telling you about how a secret cabal controls the economical infrastructure and how they knew that the grid was going to go down in the movie, right? So if you haven't watched that movie, I also did a breakdown with it with KT Arch Degree on Black Magic's channel. So check that out. So like I said, it's not a coincidence that the cabal, the sigil of it, works in tandem with the leave the world behind symbolism when you're talking about this deer or elk, right? Now, I feel like I'm missing something. Oh yeah, also wasn't done with this. So now, since you at the end of an age, you at the end of a cycle, everything must be exposed, right? Everything must be exposed because we're in the transitional period. So a lot of things is really going to be taking place as far as, you know, when the sun is at solar maximum, you're going to have the whole infrastructure of a system that's going to be facilitated by a great reset. So that great reset works in tandem to the whole infrastructure of the cabal, to where the cabal is going to create many different forms of mind control. They're going to try to relocate and confine many different forms of depopulation agenda, right? So this is where, you know, humanity must prepare to embrace a form of a technocrat system that's based on a crypto control system, which is basically the foundation of a totalitarian society. So these world governments that's going to be facilitated by the deep state shadow government or a satanic cabal, to where they're going to execute a worldwide hoax, which is based on a fake ecological crisis or a so-called economic collapse or a space storm or an incoming alien invasion or whatever you want to call it. So, like I said, they got to create many different false flags, right? And they got to create these many different false flags because this is basically the foundation and the infrastructure and the blueprint for the World Economic Forum, right? Because the World Economic Forum, this is basically their global plans, right? To where it has misinformation, disinformation, extreme weather events, societal polarization, cyber insecurity, interstate armed conflict, lack of economic opportunity, inflation, involuntary migration, economic downturn, and pollution, right? So this is basically the globalist plan for 2024, right? Because like I said, when you at the apex of a seculum of a cycle, right, that means that their foundation and their blueprint for the new world order system is the stage has already been set. But this is where, you know, things start to get crazy because they're going to create a form of destabilization that's based on the financial infrastructure of the United States. I'm going to show you this video of why I say that.
I just feel a lot of concern that 2024 may be the year of a black swan event. This is a national security event with high impact that's very hard to predict. There are a number of concerns that I have that factor into that. And not only this sort of enduring heightened threat level that we're facing, the wars in Israel, also Ukraine. And we're so divided in this country in ways that we haven't seen before. And I think that just creates fertile ground for our adversaries like North Korea, China, and Iran. And that's what concerns me most.
So she's basically talking about a so-called cyber attack, because we all know, as far as, you know, the World Economic Forum, they said 2 years ago that it's inevitable that we're going to have a cyber attack that's going to be propagated by China or Iran, right? Because China and Iran, they work in tandem, right? They're basically allies. And I'm also play you this video here.
When the next crisis hits, the elites are planning to freeze the financial system, and they'll replace it with a new system, one not based on the US dollar. When that happens, we'll wake up to a very strange and disturbing new reality.
And for our viewers that are watching today, what might their reality look like that morning? How does this manifest?
First, they'll have gone to bed knowing that a massive financial crisis was underway. But when they wake up, they'll find it has worsened and the contagion has spread worldwide. When they go to withdraw money, their ATM will say closed temporarily. When they go to sell stocks, their account will say transaction not available. When they go to their local business, that business will only accept cash if it's open. As citizens realize they're being barred from their money, riots will erupt. It's going to get really bad really quickly.
How would such a freeze actually work? And wouldn't that be highly illegal?
Well, it wouldn't be illegal technically because they've been quietly laying the groundwork for years. They've rigged the financial laws, changed the rules of the game to allow this to happen. The stage is set. They have the levers in place. The lights are positioned. Now someone just needs to flick a switch and they'll impose Ice 9 rapidly. When the next...
So like I said, that is the Ice 9 event, right? Which, like I said, it's a black swan event to where they got to create a form of totalitarian dictatorship that's facilitated by geopolitical instability. So that's not a coincidence that Bill Gates, he said by 2028, he wants to have a crypto control system, right? A crypto control system that's based on a universal based income. And those who do not conform to that system, they're going to be locked out of society, right? So something's going to be taking place. It has to, right? Because you're at the apex of a fourth turning. I'm going to play you this video here. This is Klaus Schwab, the founder of the World Economic Forum.
Still pay insufficient attention to the frightening scenario of a comprehensive cyber attack, which would bring to a complete halt to the power supply, transportation, hospital services, our society as a whole. The COVID-19 crisis would be seen in this respect as a small disturbance in comparison to a major cyber attack. To use the COVID-19 crisis as a timely opportunity to reflect on the lessons the cybersecurity community can draw and improve our preparedness for a potential cyber pandemic.
So like I said, you heard it out of his mouth. It's inevitable, it's going to happen, but it's only a matter of when. Who's to say that they're going to try to do this around the election time? Because if that happens, that's when you're going to get your so-called civil war, which is why they're coming out with the movie in April of 2024, right? I'm also going to show you this video here.
It's all a movie. They're demonstrating
now, this
to
guy,
you.
He's a whistleblower. I forgot what organization that he used to work for, but he was basically telling that something is going to happen pretty soon, and that everybody must be prepared for it. I don't care what anybody who's telling you that everything's going to be all right. That is nothing but misinformation, and they are leading you astray. You know what I'm saying? They fear mongering. It has nothing to do with fear mongering. It's all about living in reality, right? It's all about living in reality and being able to decipher what's going on, you know what I'm saying, when you're talking about these events or whatever. Because everything's been put out, you know what I'm saying, out in front of us. But like I said, you got to look at everything with a supreme spiritual eye.
It's all a movie. They're demonstrating to you what would have happened to this planet if the cabal would have won. They haven't won. But they are going to demonstrate to you what they had in mind. Things are going to get scary. It's all a movie. They're demonstrating to you what would have happened to this planet if the cabal would have won. They haven't won. But they are going to demonstrate to you what they had in mind. Things are going to get scary, very scary, before they get better. But it is just a movie. Relax. Let it play out. Take care of yourself. But don't let them forget you know what's going on. There are a lot of people who don't know what's going on. They're the people I call the awake, not awake. But the truly awake know what is going on. Try to relax. It's coming. And then the new world will come after that. It will. If you can't see it, you're still sleeping.
So like I said, they know something's going to happen. Like I said, it comes down to the fact that you got to stop being pussy. You know what I'm saying? You got to look at things, from reality. A lot of people, the great majority of people, they look at everything from a state of emotionalism. So much to the point where logic takes a back seat, right? So when that happens, that means that you're not prepared for many afflictions and many different, implications that's going to be taking place when you're talking about these false flag events. You got to be ready for it. Like I said, galvanize your resources, get your people together, right? So it's not about fear mongering. Now, what you're looking at right here is a trident. So now you got to understand something. This trident is acclimated to the Ukrainian crest or the sigil of Moloch and the Khazarian Tamga, right? So now, when you, like I said, when you're talking about Babylonian culture, right? When you're talking about the whole Canaanite culture, it's all acclimated to these fraternal orders. When you're talking about Greeks, you know what I'm saying, when you go into college, it's all connected to these sororities and these fraternities, right? So because when you look at the color spectrum of the Sigma Gamma Rho, it's connected to the Khazarian flag, which is why you see the trident at the bottom right here, the trident, which is the flag of Barbados. So this is all connected to the Ishtar Gate, which is the 8th gate of ancient Babylon, right? Now, why is this important? This is important because what you got to understand is that the Khazarians, the Ukrainians, like I said, look, when you look at the Ukrainian crest, the Ukrainian flag is the same color spectrum as these sororities, right? Sigma Gamma Rho. Now, this is all connected to democracy because we all know, like I said, the democratic order works in tandem with the Ukrainians, right? Because it's basically the same bloodline, right? Because it's the deep state shadow government. So this is why the Democrats, they always show veneration to the so-called black people who have political power. So this is where you're going to start to see, like, this is how you know shit is really going to hit the fan, because they're going to propagate black church leaders, black celebrities, black council members. They're going to propagate all these things to basically orchestrate democracy, because democracy is what took us out of our sovereign capacity, which is why we in the state we in right now, right? So that's why the great majority of these Boule members, right, when you're talking about Cat Williams or whatever, the great majority of them, they was in fraternities, they was in sororities. That's why when you look at certain political leaders, black politicians, black council members, a lot of them, black church leaders, a lot of them were in sororities, fraternities when they was in college. Because when you pledge in a Greek fraternity, that's all Babylonian culture. That's all Canaanite culture. That's not our culture, even though it came from a so-called historical black college, right? So one thing you got to understand is that, you know, spirituality has nothing to do with, you know, crystals and head wraps and all that other shit. It's about having a mental fortitude to not be tricked, to where you can decipher good from evil, to where you can see who's who and what's what. And a lot of you are going to fall for the technology because you have a veneration and a credence and an emotional connection to these black politicians, to these black celebrities, to these black church leaders, right? The wool is going to be pulled over your eyes because you have a veneration to people who look like you, but they're not working for you. They're working with the other side. So this is why they're going to propagate reparations, because they know we at the end of a system. They never going to give so-called black people that much money. They're only going to try to give you that much money because it's going to connect you to their new system, right? Which puts you right back under the 14th Amendment, which is a fraudulent contract, as I was saying, right? So, like I said, all this stuff, you got the Freemasonic symbol. Everybody who was in fraternities, sororities, they all work in tandem with the Freemasonic order, all Babylonian worship. I don't care what you say. Anybody who is propagating religion, propagating politics, Freemasonry, all that, because this is all connection to the Skull and Bones contract, right? That's connected to the dark priesthood of the Vatican Church, right? Because when you also got to understand the sigilcism and the numerology that's connected to a form of gematria. So this is why black churches, they get a Skull and Bones contract, which is under the faith-based initiative by having a 501c3 church, right? So this is why the great majority of churches, black churches, that's connected to the deep state shadow government, they don't speak about real issues in the church, right? AKA TD Jakes, right? So like I said, all this stuff works in tandem to Saturnian culture. Saturn worship is the occultic god, which is based on the god of their system, which is Moloch, which is Enlil, which is Yahweh, right? It's all based on sacrifice. It's all based on Canaanite, Babylonian culture, right? So that's why when you understand the esoteric symbolism in their sigils, it's a secret language. That's how you know that Saturnian worship is based on Freemasonry, right? They don't tell you who they are. They show you who they are based on symbolism, because symbolism is going to be their downfall. So if you don't understand the esoteric secrets in a science of symbolism, that's when you're going to fall for the technology. Because they're showing you in real time through the color spectrums, right? They're showing you through the symbolism in the sigils, Khazarian Tamga, all Canaanite culture, right? Because you got to understand the hierarchical order of this system, because Canaanite culture, the beginning points of it was all Babylonian. So you have the Canaanite, right, basically controls the Black Boule members, and the Black Boule members control the great majority of the lower class blacks. So that's why, you know what I'm saying, I don't give a damn about no Cat Williams, because I know he's working with both sides, right? You got to read between the lines. Now, I'm going to show you a couple more videos. All right.
Pack of Chinese males of military age, unattached to family groups, pretending not to speak English. These are probably saboteurs who are coming in on the first day of war with Asia. In Asia, I think that we're going to see acts of sabotage, assassinations, detonation of bombs, starting wildfires. And the Biden administration is paying no attention.
Like I said, he knows, he said that the Biden administration, because the Biden administration, the Democrats, right, the Democratic order, that ain't nothing but the deep state shadow government, as I was saying, because the deep state shadow government is your personification of democracy, because democracy in itself, that's where the great majority of all the afflictions on the planet, that's where it stems from, right? Because even when you're talking about so-called indigenous culture, we didn't propagate no goddamn democracy because, like I said, democracy is Saturnian worship. We didn't show credence to the moon, right? We ain't no lunar people because when you're talking about the square, right, as I was showing you, when you're talking about the square, the cube of Saturn, right, that is the symbology of the Saturn moon matrix because the square is basically the personification of the material plane, right, which works in tandem to the moon, the energy of the moon, which is connected to the metatrotic overlay of the energy extraction matrix, right? So the material plane basically connects your emotions to the system in the three-dimensional plane to keep you stuck here, right? So all this stuff is political, it's spiritual, it's esoteric, and it's metaphysical, all at the same time, right? But like I said, you got to understand the language of what's going on.
No life at all.
Now this lady, she is the princess of Japan.
No life at all. We are completely in dark 3 days. No mass media or no information are announced to these people on this planet. Even government people know. Just by themselves, they said that they can be safe, they try to escape from this planet. Or they are living in underground city, under Atlanta, Norway, Poland, Switzerland,
Now,
Australia.
I'm gonna pause that. I know she said Switzerland because Switzerland is the heartbeat of the deep state shadow government, right? That is basically where they're located. That's where the great majority of the deep state shadow government is located. The one who controls everything behind the scenes when you're talking about the black nobility, right? So that's why, like I said, all this stuff works in tandem. So when you look at this graph right here, it shows you Switzerland because Switzerland is the only country that's never had a war, right? Which is not a coincidence because that is the homeland of the black nobility, right? The black nobility, the home of these archonic forces, right? Who are shapeshifters.
About 10,000 people leave. They say that they don't dare. They are safe anyway. They need to build our spiritual condition, physically and spiritually. I'll tell you how to do it. It's very important. Almighty God, creator of the
It's crazy how all of a sudden they talking about spirituality now because they, like I said, they know their time is up, right? So for those coming in, this video is basically about exposing the energy extraction matrix that's being controlled by the deep state shadow government. So this is why, as far as, them breaking cosmic law by trying to bring theocracy and imperialism under patriarchal order under a sun cycle, that's why they're getting exposed. This is the age of Aquarius. How the hell are you going to bring patriarchy in the age of Aquarius when really it's supposed to be galvanized by the true people of the land under a republic? So you can't bring that energy and you can't bring an old energy into a new energy because the age of Aquarius is based on transformation. And you're going to have a lot more of these so-called elitists and these oligarchs. More of them are going to get exposed because when Pluto enters Aquarius on January 20th, that's when a lot of shit is really going to be taking place. So as I was saying before, these tunnel systems of the Khazarians or Ashkenazi Jews is connected to the Ukrainians because it's all based on Babylonian worship, right? Which is why you have Moloch holding the child, because this tunnel system in Brooklyn, there's the synagogue was connected to a children's museum, right? These tunnel systems by these Khazarians. That's why they was getting locked up, right? So also you got to understand 11 sons of Canaan, right? Which is the Jebusites. The Jebusites are also the sons of Benelli, and the sons of Benelli work in tandem with the sons of Cain. So that's why when you look at the Ukrainian crest, the sigil of Moloch, and the Khazarian Tamga, it's the same sigil, right? So that's why it tells you right here in Genesis chapter 9, verse 18, the Canaanites are joining forces with the sons of Benelli, which is connected to Babylonian culture. And the Babylonian culture in itself was created by the 200 fallen angels, who are the Nephilim, right? The Nephilim, the ones who fell from grace. When you're talking about the book of Enoch, that's when you go to El's Holy Injil, Revelation chapter 17, the evil reptilian gave power to the beast. The beast is the Canaanite, right? So this is why the sons of Canaan, when the 200 fallen angels made it with the sons of Canaan, right, the daughters of men, that is the inception point of the Edomite. The Edomite is the Khazarian. The Khazarian is the Ashkenazi Jew. And the Ashkenazi Jew is the Rothschild, right? And the Rothschild is the one who controls the Federal Reserve System that got took up by the Treasury. So this is also working in tandem to the York Rite of the Vatican Church, the dark priesthood that controls the Black Pope, which is the economical infrastructure that works in tandem to the Federal Reserve that created their corporate system, right? So this is why they're getting exposed, because the age of Aquarius is all about your ass getting exposed. So it tells you in Revelations chapter 9, verse 2, verse 9, Revelations chapter 3, verse 9, that they say they are Jews, but they are not, but they are the synagogue of Satan. Only people who pray in the synagogue are your so-called Jews, right? These motherfuckers right here. Those are the only ones that work, that pray. So that's, like I said, all this stuff works in tandem to their corporation, right? And they have to show veneration to Baal. Benelli in the Bible is equated to the sons of Baal, the sons of Moloch, because Baal is interchangeable with Benelli when you understand ancient Proto-Semitic language, because the vowels are basically interchangeable. And then when you look at Benelli, it's an anagram for the word Enlil, right? So this is all this stuff, man. Like, you can't make this stuff. You can't make none of this stuff up. So I'm just doing an overview of what's taking place. So now, like I said, as I was saying before, the sigil of the Cabal is connected to the deer or the elk of society when you're looking at the Leave the World Behind poster, right? Because the Cabal, the deep state shadow government, they got to create a Black Swan event, and that Black Swan event is being facilitated by the General Protocols of Zion, which is basically the blueprint for the Canaanite Babylonian system, because their time is running out, right? So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you guys watching this video, because when you watch these videos, one thing you got to understand is that it's an esoteric puzzle piece. All these videos that's connected to my channel, they all work in conjunction. They all work in tandem, right? It's one big puzzle piece to show you who's who and what's what. You got to turn on your spiritual fortitude. You got to turn on your spiritual eye, because a lot of people are going to fall for the technology. A lot of people have an emotional connection to politics, celebrities, and things of that nature. That's because they know, as far as their energy extraction matrix, they use the political system and celebrities to pull you right back into their system. So this is why you gotta, develop some type of solitude to deviate from the system in itself, because you're going to be tricked at the end of the day. You're going to be tricked into voting. you're going to be tricked into listening to Cat Williams. Oh, he's fighting for us. That's nothing but tricknology. All this stuff ain't nothing but tricknology, because if somebody was really telling the truth, they'd be dead by now, right? Because, you know what I'm saying, as far as the age of Aquarius, you know, is basically the foundation of the Great Reset. And the Great Reset is going to be orchestrated by the Great Awakening period, right? When you go to Matthew chapter 22, verse 14, many are called, only few are chosen. So you're going to have the elect that's going to be propagating a certain truth, right? So if you don't have celebrities that's talking like me, if you don't have celebrities that's talking about many different truthers that's on social media, you know what I'm saying? They working with the other side, basically, right? So we living in a time right now, you got to be very meticulous about what you do when you go out, whether you're going grocery shopping, you're going on a family trip. You know what I'm saying? You can't be so oblivious to what's taking place, because you got to understand, when the sun is at solar maximum, it has the ability to manipulate and facilitate certain things on the plane of existence, on the material plane, right? Because that's why, you know, you see the sun and the moon out at the same time, because their time is running out. Because the time in itself is being galvanized by material, and the material plane is facilitated by people, places, and possessions. And everything that's connected to people, places, and possessions has reached its mandated cap, right? The music ain't the same no more. Sports ain't the same no more. The food don't taste the same no more. You know, everything that's connected to the material plane is not the same no more, because everything has to degenerate, has to zero out. It has to go through a reset, right? There's no evolution for the third dimension, right? So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching this video. Get this video out there. End of transmission.
It's me again, God. I know it's been a long time since I last called you back on your line. So I hope and I pray for your hand to help me on the ladder to the land. Karma's gonna get to you, and then you'll have a chariot with only one less friend. Now I had distant folks that are looking to my eyes to understand the wisdom he's given and his wealth from the skies. So thanks for this meal that I'm about to receive, and thank you for my health and all the good memories. Thanks for the courage taking on another day, when I used to not believe, but now I know about grace. Stay away from the fire, cause the flames does burn. Go with your gut feeling, when it's wrong you learn. For every one step I take, the Lord takes two. And do unto others if you want it done unto you. It's me again, God. I know it's been a long time since I last called you back on your line. So I hope and I pray for your hand to help me on the ladder to the land. It's me again, God. I know it's been a long time since I last called you back on your line. So I hope and I pray for your hand to help me on the ladder to the land. This a completion, the selfish Proto-Grecian, Amerindian, Phoenician. I'm the last of the Mohicans, the bastard of the land, the pen, melanin, accretion. And we just trying to get back to the fact that we was kings and queens of a land before the avalanche seized it. I live on Turtle Island with the rest of the diseased. Better than the medicine for 7 different treatments. Niggas try to ride away but end up getting seasick. The sleep can feel my words like Braille, and they're awakened with the penmanship of Hindu script written in them vacant monastery. Honorary payments to the prototype. Tomorrow's only a day away, but nothing happens overnight. The fuck's wrong with going left when you know it's right? Biting off more than I can chew, that's an overbite. Black on black crime is like watching 2 soldiers fight when all along they was on the same page. History. It's me again, God. I know it's been a long time since I last called you back on your line. So I hope and I pray for your hand to help me on the ladder to the land. It's me again, God. I know it's been a long time since I last called you back on your line. So I hope and I pray for your hand to help me on the ladder to the land.